Namo tassa bhagavatu arahatu samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavatu arahatu samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavatu arahatu samma sambuddhassa. Good evening everyone and good morning everyone. Welcome to Monday Sutta discussion, day 94. The title of the talk tonight is pretty interesting because it's about stagnation in wholesome qualities, because we never want to be stagnated in any situation, be that work, be that life, or whatever other scenario, aspect of our life. We dislike getting caught up, in that particular life, in a form of stagnation. So it also applies to spiritual life, especially to Dhamma. In the sutta called ṭhiti parihani, Anguttara Nikaya 10.53, which is mentioned as a place to understand 10 reasons for why people getting caught up, why people getting stagnated in the wholesome activities. So today we're going to be looking at what are the reasons for some to stagnate in their Dhamma practice. In simple words, wholesome qualities, kusala dhammas. Okay. The sutta's name is ṭhiti parihani, but in some places it is also mentioned as ṭhiti sutta. ṭhiti means stagnation. So stagnation in wholesome activities, wholesome qualities. ṭhitim pāhaṃ bhikkhave ne vannayami kusalesu dhammesu pageva parihani. Buddhinchako aham bhikkhave vannayami kusalesu dhammesu no ṭhitim no hani. Now, the first paragraph of the sutta clearly mentions that there are three important things to understand of someone's spiritual life. First is ṭhiti. Ṭhiti is stagnation. And then parihani. Parihani is decline. And then buddhi. Buddhi means growth, which is what we all need to be. We all need to grow in our practice. Now, for those who think that their practice is not growing, their practice is not developing, their practice is not taking them to the next level, that is stagnation or decline. But a lot of people, they are stagnated, but some of them may be, declining in the practice. So this is the translation. Mendicants, I do not praise stagnation in skillful qualities, let alone decline, pageva parihani. I praise growth in skillful qualities, not stagnation or decline. Now, as the topic itself, says, skillful creativity, overcoming stagnation in wholesome qualities. Now, why I use the word called skillful creativity, because this is a new word that I coined this word for you, because I'm trying to say that those people who practice Dhamma, most of us, the main reason why we do not understand how we can grow in is that we are not skillfully creative. We need to be creative in our skillfulness. We have to be creative in our kusala practice. That's why we are normally stagnated. That's why I put the topic as skillful creativity, which is a new word, but it makes sense that you are trying to practice your kusala dhamma, I would say skillful activities, with creativity. So you are creative to execute your, skillful activities, kusala dhammas. So you are definitely overcoming stagnation. If necessary, if there is any stagnation in your practice, you're gonna definitely overcome, because you are practicing skillful creativity. But in today's talk, I want to tell you that I also told you this at the beginning. There are 3 sections to understand. One is stagnation, second is decline, third is growth. So stagnation in wholesome qualities, kusala dhamma, and decline in skillful activities called kusala dhamma, and then growth in skillful activities. So in the whole sutta, it's about a place to understand how this stagnation happens and what are the reasons of stagnation. Finally, what we could do to stop this stagnation happen, what we could do to overcome stagnation. So I mean, which is pretty structural. So let's take a look of the Paṭisota, so that we can understand gradually this structural understanding about stagnation, and then the reasons and how we can overcome stagnation. Now, the first, Buddha says that he does not praise stagnation, skillful quality, which means he doesn't like it. Also, he doesn't like decline. So decline is worse than stagnation, right? Because then you are not even stagnant, but you are going to decline, right? Your quality is going to, your skillful kusala is going to decline. Then, but Buddha praise, speak good of the growth. If people can understand this is stagnation, this is decline, but I'm not into either one, I'm trying to grow in my skillful activities. That's what Buddha speak, good. So now the Buddha says how there is decline in wholesome qualities or activities, kusala dhamma. This is how it happens. Katancha bhikkhave hani hoti kusalesu dhammesu. Hani means decline. And how is there decline in skillful qualities? Not stagnation or growth. No ṭhiti, no buddhi. So when there is decline, there is neither stagnation and growth. It's when a mendicant, ita bhikkhave bhikkhu, yattako hoti saddhaya sīlena sutena chāgena paññāya patibhānena. It's when a mendicant has a certain degree of saddhaya, trust. Sīlena means morality or virtue. Sutena means, I would say, knowledge. And chāgena means, giving. Paññāya means wisdom. Patibhānena means understanding. So patibhāna has been described in different lengths, but normally we take patibhāna as being able to understand what's going on, comprehension. Tassa te Dhamma neva ṭhiti. But the problem is, it's when a mendicant or somebody has a certain degree of these, spiritual, I would say, kusalas, saddha, trust. Sila means morality or virtue. Sutta means knowledge. Chaga means giving or generosity. Paññāya means wisdom. Patibhāna means understanding. So when someone has a certain degree of these, kusala, wholesome qualities, but the problem is, tassate dhamma neva ṭhiti. Those qualities neither stagnate nor grow in them. So in those people, none of those spiritual, I would say, wholesome dhammas grow or stagnate. So then the Buddha says, Hani metang bhikkhave vada. So this is how I call this decline in skillful quality. So the Buddha says, if someone has a certain level of these skillful qualities, I would say Saddha, Sila, Sutta, Chaga, Panya, Patibhana. At the same time, if there is no development of these, 6 in that person, that is what the Buddha says, a decline in wholesome activities. Because there is no stagnation or growth. Now the Buddha talks about what is stagnation. Katancha bhikkhave ṭhiti hoti kusalesu dhammesu no hani no vutti ida bhikkhave bhikkhu yattako hoti saddhaya silena sutena chagena panyaya patibhanena tassate dhamma neva hayanti no vaddhanti ṭhiti metang bhikkhave vadami kusalesu dhammesu no hani no vutti evaṁ ko bhikkhave ṭhiti hoti kusalesu dhammesu no vutti no hani. Now it's a little different than the decline. So the difference here is that there is somebody who has a certain level of trust, which is saddha. Sila means virtue, sutta means knowledge, chaga means generosity, panya means wisdom, and patibhana means understanding. But the thing is, tassate dhamma nivahayanti. Those wholesome qualities, never decline, no grow in that person. So those qualities, I would say kusala dhammas, neither grow nor decline. So that means they are still staying at some level, but there's no improvement either to the bad side or the good side. Ṭhiti metang bhikkhave vadami kusalesu dhammesu. This is what Buddha says, stagnation. This happens to many, right? They practice certain level of dana, but they do the same dana every month, but they don't know how to maximize, how to improve their good intentions of generosity. So they are doing the same dana, they are taking the same precepts. Maybe we will be discussing all that, but just to give you kind of a heads up, such people never think that there are other ways to improve their kusala thoughts, right? So kusala is mainly a thought, right? I mean, predominantly a thought, but even you see some manifestations in the form of mind, body and spirit. But stagnation happens in someone when that person is not trying to maximize or improve one's spiritual qualities. So there's no decline or no growth, but they are kind of like staying at a certain level for a long time. So that is what called stagnation. Now Buddha talks about the growth. Katancha bhikkhave buddhi hoti. Buddhi means growth in spiritual wholesome qualities. Katancha bhikkhave buddhi hoti kusalesu dhammesu no ṭhiti no hani ida bhikkhave bhikkhu yattako hoti saddhaya silena sutena chagena panyaya patibhanena. So someone has the same spiritual, I would say, wholesome qualities as I mentioned before, which are relevant to the previous two, stagnation and decline. But the difference here, for someone whose spiritual, I would say, wholesome qualities are developing, is tassate dhamma neva tittanti no hayanti. That means those skillful qualities neither stagnate nor decline in them, which means that person is developing. That person is trying to see different avenues to maximize, improve, the existing qualities like saddha, trust, sila means virtue, sutta means knowledge, chaga means generosity, panyaya means wisdom, patibhana means understanding. So, evaṁ ko bhikkhave buddhi hoti kusalesu dhammesu no ṭhiti no hani. This is how we can see there is growth in someone's skillful quality. So now it's pretty clear there is someone whose spiritual qualities are declining because there is no improvement. There's someone whose spiritual qualities are staying, remaining at a certain level. There's no change to the decline or to the improvement side. But there is someone whose skillful qualities are always improving, because that person identifies, recognizes, figures out different ways to change, transform, develop one's skillful qualities, such as Saddha, Sila, Sutta, Chaga, Panya, Patibhana. Now, the Buddha teaches us a way to find out this decline, stagnation, growth. Here is the example. Here is kind of a simile. But before that simile, he is trying to say something interesting. Noche bhikkhave bhikkhu parachitta pariyaya kusalo hoti. Ata sachitta pariyaya kusalo bhavissamiti evanhi vo bhikkhave sikkitappa. Okay, now the Buddha says, if monks, or if the monastic community is not, I would say, if a mendicant is not skilled in the ways of another's mind, what we call by parachitta pariyaya kusalo. In my understanding, this is what we mean, someone who can really understand someone else's heart, someone else's mentality. I mean, if you have a kalyana mitta, like a good friend, wise friend, who can really understand you, especially the way you think, especially the way you do your life things, especially the way you make life choices. If that person can really understand you and can give an advice or an instruction, and I think that person is a parachitta pariyaya kusalo, someone who is expert in understanding you. But this doesn't happen all the time. That's why Buddha says, Noche bhikkhave bhikkhu parachitta pariyaya kusalo hoti. So if you are not skilled in finding someone who can find you really well, who can figure you out really well, who can recognize you really well, then we have to do a self-reflection. This is what we call by Ata sachitta pariyaya kusalo bhavissamiti evanhi vobhikkhave sikkitappa. Then we should train us the way how we use, kind of a word for that. Sachitta pariyaya kusalo. I will be skilled in the ways of my own mind. So if we can't find someone who can really help us in terms of our life, in terms of the direction of our life, then we have to be the direction of our life. That is what we call by sachitta pariyaya kusalo, right? Sachitta pariyaya kusalo. Sachitta means one's own mentality or perspective. Pariyaya is the method, and kusalo is skill. So one has to make oneself as being someone who can direct oneself towards the growth, not to the stagnation, or not to the decline, but to the growth. Now there is a simile. Katancha bhikkhave. Now we all have to be sachitta pariyaya kusalo, but I say I encourage you to be on that side, because rather believing, trusting someone who can help you, I think you can be your own instructor. You can be your own guide, in terms of your direction of your life. Now you are a sachitta pariyaya kusala. You are not a you couldn't find a parachitta pariyaya kusalo. So being a sachitta pariyaya kusalo, that means being someone who can guide oneself towards the good direction, towards the growth in your own spiritual, wholesome qualities. One has to do this kind of thing. What is the kind of thing that you are supposed to do? And Buddha first, teaches us kind of a simile for that. Sayyatapi bhikkhave ittiva purisova daharo yuva mandana jatiko adaseva parisutte pariyodate acheva udapatte sakam mukha nimittang pacchavikkamanu sache tatta passati rajangva anganangva tasseva rajassava anganassava pahanaya vayamati noche tatta passati rajangva anganangva tene vattamano hoti paripurna sankappo labha vatame parisuddha vatamiti. Now, this is what the Buddha says in that Pali statement. Suppose there was a woman or man who was young. Daharu means young. Youthful means yuva. Mandana Jatiko means fond of adornment. So, suppose there was a woman or man who was young, youthful, and fond of adornments, and they checked their own reflection in a clear, bright mirror called Parisudde Pariyodate Adaseva. So, such a man or woman who is really young, youthful, and fond of adornments want to check their own reflection in a clean, bright mirror. Now, this is a normal scenario, right? Or clear bowl of water. At that time, people also use water, to see their reflection. If they see any dirt, rajangva, anganangva, blemish there. So if they notice any dirt or blemish from clean bright mirror or clear bowl of water, they would try to remove it. Right? They would try to remove that dirt or blemish of their face or body. But if they don't see any dirt or blemish there, they are happy with that. So they know that there is nothing to do. I'm okay. As they have got all they wish for. How fortunate that I am clean. That's what they think. Labha vatami parisuddham vatami. So they think that how fortunate am I, because I don't need to fix anything, in my body. So because I look good, so I don't need to do anything. So they feel good. In the same way, evameva ko bhikkhave, in the same way, bhikkhuno pacchavekkana bahukara hoti. In the same way. Now you can understand, this is what we call by reflection, self-reflection. In the same way, checking is very helpful for a mendicant, for a monk, or for a monastic, or anyone, for anyone's skillful quality. So we need to do a checking. Now this is like a car, driving a car or a vehicle. Now when you are driving a vehicle, you have to always check your side mirrors, your mirror, blind spots, right? You gotta check all that. If you do not check a moment or few moments, I think you're gonna meet with an unexpected thing, right? Accident or something. So that's why, in the same way, Buddha asks us to do a self check. We have to check our life in terms of our wholesome, qualities, kusala dhammas. How does that happen? Evameva ko bhikkave bhikkhuno pacchavekkana bahukara hoti. The self-reflection is named in Pali as being Pachavekkana. Pachavekkana is the Pali word for this checking. So, how does someone reflect oneself for skillful activities, kusala activities? There are different ways to check that. So I would say there are 20 ways to check, but in brief, there are 10 ways to self-reflect, oneself in order to grow in our skillful qualities, kusala activities. The reason why this sutta became a part of the 10th section of the Anguttara Nikaya is that these 10 ways to reflect us. Okay. So how does someone check oneself against, stagnation? The first one is abhijjalu nuko bahulang viharami, anabhijjalu nuko bahulang viharami. This is the first thing that you need to check in terms of your self-reflection, is that you need to find out whether you are often covetous or not? Now, what is being covetous? Now, this is a kind of a good Pali word, We know in the list of 10 skillful qualities, there are, 3 actions, 4 speeches, and 3 thoughts. The first thought in the Kusala section is anabhicca or abhicca. What is abhicca? Abhicca means any desire towards one's possessions, material possessions, is abhicca. We call it sakabhande chandaragu abhicca. Sakabhande means one's own possession. So if you have any any craving, I would say, the better word I would say, if you have so much attachment to what you own, what you have already, that is called abhicca. Sakabhande chandaragu. Okay, so that is abhicca. Abhiccalu nuko bahulang viharami. So one has to check, am I often covetous or not? Abhiccalu nuko bahulang viharami. Am I always covetous, or anabhiccalu nuko bahulang viharami? Am I often not covetous? So, this is something pretty easy for us to check, right? Am I always, bound by thoughts about, my own possessions? Am I always greedy about my possessions, what I have, what I own, education, money, job, and so on and so forth? Am I always spending my time by thinking all that? There may be times that we might think, but if you are always thinking, I have this thing, I have to protect that, so that thinking is what we call by covetousness. So you have to check whether you are covetous always or not. That's the first one. Number 2, Vyapanna chitto nuko bahulang viharami. Abhyapanna chitto nuko bahulang viharami. Am I often spending time with ill will or not? So Vyapanna chitto means ill will. Abhyapanna chitto means absence of ill will. So ill will is really bad, because you are malicious, you are trying to think to cause harm someone, right? So if you have to check whether am I spending by thinking to kill someone, harm someone, that is what we call by Vyapanna chitto. Okay, so Vyapanna chitto means that you are thinking to destroy someone, just thinking that execution, doing that particular killing or destroying it is what we call by panatipata. But you have to check whether you are having thoughts of killing, destroying someone in many ways. It could be emotionally, it could be in the form of I would say social media, it could be in the form of many other things, right? Many other ways. So the second thing that you have to check is whether you are spending time with ill will or not. Vyapanna chitto or abhyapanna chitto. It's pretty good that if you are spending time without ill will. Number 3, tīna midda pariyuttito nuko bahulang viharami. Vigata tīna middo nuko bahulang viharami. This is about sloth and torpor. Now, what is sloth and what is torpor? Sloth means sickness of your conscience. I would say dullness of your mind. I would say it's kind of a chitta gelani. We call it chitta gelani. Sloth is sickness of consciousness. Midda is sickness of the mental factors. Now, some people translate this to be body, but kaya in terms of midda means mental factors. It's called kaya means a mental factor, cetasikas, not the physical body. So tīna means sloth, in other words, sickness of your consciousness, chitta gelanya, and midda means sickness of the mental factors called cetasikas. So if you have tīna or midda, which happens when you are running out of energy, then you have to check whether you have sloth and torpor or not. The opposite of sloth and torpor means energy. You have virya, you have arambha dhatu, you have nikkama dhatu, you have parakkama dhatu, you have all the virya, I mean diligence or effort, right? So you have to check whether you are always with sloth and torpor or not, which means you are having a lot of efforts. That's number 3. Number 4, uddato nuko bahulang viharami, anuddato nuko bahulang viharami. Uddato means restlessness. What is restlessness? Now in the Abhidhamma, we also talked about there are 14 akusalas, right? 14 akusala, chetasikas. Now in that list, we understood that 4 akusala chetasikas always combine to make another akusalas. We call them moha, ahirika, anuttappa, and uddacha. So when you are executing a bad activity, bad speech, bad thought, you always have 4 universal immoral chetasikas in addition to that particular bad. Let's say you are trying to speak bad of someone. Let's say you are trying to carrying tales, I would say you're trying to speak behind the back. In order that Pisunavacha to happen, I would say speaking behind the back happens, one has to have another 4 akusalas called delusion, lack of moral shame, and lack of moral fear, and restlessness. So restlessness is always present in all akusalas. When you do any akusala, you have restlessness, you have uddacha. But kukucha is not a part of this thing, because kukucha is a different kind of chetasika. But here you have to check whether you are always restless or you are restful. You have rest. That means your mind is free, calm. That's the 4th thing to check. Vichikiccho nuko bahulang viharami, tinna vichikiccho nuko bahulang viharami. Now, the 5th thing, what you have to check is whether you have vichikiccha or the absence of vichikiccha. So let's say, am I always spending time with vichikiccha, or am I always spending time without vichikiccha? What is vichikiccha? Vichikiccha is such a bad thing, right? Because we also talk about vichikiccha in a way, where people have a lot of, unnecessary attempts to, blur the reality. Now, a lot of people, they try to, find out the truth precisely in a certain way, but that makes them to struggle with a lot of doubts. Now the questions about the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, previous life, future lives, and a lot about causality. So these are like very deep areas of the Dhamma. Unless you approach a good learned monk and then do some self-reflection about the questions and answers, you won't be able to find answers. It's not like you ask a question from a professor and then the professor is going to answer you directly. So in order to understand those questions about deeper topics, you need to learn at the same time, reflect by yourself. There's no one single answer that you can learn like in an academic or kind of a public environment, kind of a classic audience. Because Dhamma, for the most part of Dhamma, is about reflection, self-reflection. This is why the Buddhism is so interesting, because Buddhism is always encouraging us to look within us, because that's the main type of self-reflection. That's what we also study here, learn here, by checking self, or we would say reviewing oneself, right? Or checking oneself, doing a self-reflection. So the fifth thing that we need to check is that whether we have doubts, whether we are spending day with a lot of doubts or not. The sixth thing that we need to check is that whether we have akkodano nuko bahulang viharami, kodano nuko bahulang viharami, or akkodano nuko bahulang viharami. Am I spending time being angry, or am I spending time? Am I often bahulang? Am I often angry, or am I often not angry? Right. So this is something that we check in us. When you spend a day, you can take a look at you. Am I always angry? Am I always not angry? This is a good way of checking about yourself. So that is the sixth one. Now, Dhamma folks, why I'm talking about these, these sections, these, list of these tasks of, self-reflections, that you have to understand that without accomplishing these 10, you will never overcome your stagnation. So people get stagnated because they don't know how to check themselves as a self-reflection. So this is what we were talking about. Covetousness, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness, doubts, and now here the sixth one is anger. The seventh one is sankilitta chitto nuko bahulang viharami, asankilitta chitto bahulang viharami. So what is sankilitta chitto? Am I often defiled in mind or not? Now the seventh thing that we have to check for self-reflection is that, am I always with akusalas? Am I always with kilesas or pakilesas or asavas or whatever those taints? I have to check. You have to check by yourself. You have to think to yourself, am I always spending time with kilesa defilements or not? If you are not spending with kilesa for the most part of your day, you are good. You are doing your self-reflection. For those who are not checking that, they are not good. They are stagnating. Number 8. 8th thing to stagnate. Eighth thing to check to overcome stagnation. Saradda kayo nuko bahulang viharami, asaradda kayo bahulang viharami. What is saradda kayo? Now saradda kayo means, am I often disturbed in body or not? Now, a lot of people, they get disturbed with their bodies. So they have this body image awareness issues. They are always struggling. Maybe they have pain. They have some pains of the body, in their body. They have some issues in looking at their own body. Maybe they are struggling about different other issues with regard to their body. So am I often spending time by thinking about the body? Or am I spending time pretty comfortably with my body? So that's the 8th thing to check in terms of self-reflection, so that you are not stagnated. Number 9. Kusito nuko bahulang viharami, aradda viriyo nuko bahulang viharami. Kusito, it's pretty clear. Kusito is a person who is always lazy. So am I spending time being a lazy person or not? We are not supposed to be lazy people, right? Buddha always asks us to be diligent, try to practice diligence, and then we all should accomplish what you call samma vayam, the right effort, right? So these are the exact real Buddha saying, even his last word, right? Last statement, Vaya Dhamma sankhara appamadena sampadita. So everything is clear to everyone, but the problem is people don't have appamada. Appamada means diligence. So diligence is the green light, I would say. Diligence is the nature of our effort, right? So that's why we need to be very energetic. So we have to check as the ninth thing whether am I a lazy person or whether am I an energetic person for the most part of the day. The 10th thing that we have to check is samahito nuko bahulang viharami, asamahito nuko bahulang viharami. Am I spending the day being very concentrated or not? Am I spending time being concentrated for the most part of the day or not? I had to check my mind. You have to check by yourself. Now, Dhamma friends, now you understand, in order to overcome, in order to move out of stagnation, especially the spiritual stagnation in skillful qualities, you need to do self-reflection. How can you do the self-reflection is that you need to practice, you need to check yourself with these 10 areas of your day or 10 areas of your life on a day. The first thing is whether you are covetous or not. Second thing, whether you have ill will or not. Third thing, whether you have sloth and torpor or not. The fourth thing, whether you are restless or not. The fifth thing, whether you have doubts or not. I mean spiritual doubts. You may have other doubts, in your personal life, but this is about spiritual life. Sixth thing is whether you are angry or not. Seventh thing, whether you have a mind which is very defiled or not. Eighth thing, whether your body is stuck in pains or not. Ninth thing, whether you are energetic or not. 10th thing, whether you are concentrated or not. So these are the 10 things that we all supposed to check to overcome stagnation. If we are stagnated in our spiritual practice, Dhamma practice, we must overcome that stagnation by checking these 10 against the stagnation. Now, I want to go ahead, with the rest of the sutta. Then the Buddha teaches us something to think, like a methodology with these 10. Sache bhikkhave bhikkhu paccavekka mano evaṁ janati. Abhijjalu bahulang viharami vyapanna chitto bahulang viharami. Now, what happens is that, suppose that upon checking, someone knows this. I am often covetous. If I am covetous, I should know I'm covetous. I don't need to pretend. I don't need to fake. Vyapanna chitto bahulang viharami. Tinamitta pariyuttito bahulang viharami. Uddato bahulang viharami. Vichikiccho bahulang viharami. Kodano bahulang viharami. Sankilitta chitto bahulang viharami. Saraddakayo bahulang viharami. Kusito bahulang viharami. Asamahito bahulang viharami. Now, what does it say? It says that if someone understands one's real life in terms of these 10 ways of checking oneself, then that is a good sign, because you understand where you are and what you are doing for the most part of the day. Suppose that upon checking, a mendicant or someone knows this: I am often covetous, malicious, overcome with dullness and drowsiness, ṭhiti and miṭha, restless, doubtful, irritable, defiled in mind, disturbed in body, lazy, and not immersed in samadhi. In order to give up those bad, unskillful qualities, I should apply outstanding things. Now, this is one of the very good places to understand how we can put effort in order to overcome that kind of stagnation. This is how the Buddha says. Tena bhikkhave bhikkhuna te sangeva papakanang akusalanang dhammana. Now, someone understands that I have these particular differences in my spiritual practice, which means I have a lot of things to call myself as being stagnated. Then what am I supposed to do? Papakanang akusalanang dhammanam pahanaya adimatto chandocha vayamocha ussahocha ussolhicha appativanica saticha sampajanyancha karaniya. So there are then few things for me to accomplish in order to overcome that stagnation. Now you check against those 10 things, but it's not over yet. You are not still accomplishing everything in order to overcome your stagnation. So you have to execute these particular forms of effort. What are those forms of efforts? You have to do adimatto chandocha. What does it mean? Outstanding. Adimatto means outstanding. Chandocha. Chando means will, I would say, effort, I would say enthusiasm. There are multiple translations for that. So I can give you kind of a simple translations this way. Chando means desire or will. Vayamo means effort. Samma vayam. So you had to give outstanding desire. Now desire is not to be taken in the way that you like something with attachments, but here desire means desire to do something. Chando. Vayamo is you have to do effort. Ussaha means great enthusiasm, so which is higher than the normal enthusiasm. Ussolhi means you have to give more power in order to move out of this stagnation. Appativanicha. What is appativani? Appativani means perseverance. So perseverance means continued effort. You should not stop practicing your energy, stop practicing samma vayama, right? So you have to practice chanda, vayama, utsaha, ussolha. Appativani means perseverance. Sati means mindfulness. Sampajanya means full awareness. Now there are 6 things to practice to move out of stagnation for those who think that they are stagnated against those 10 ways of reflection. Now if you know that you are covetous, you are malicious, you have sloth and torpor, you have restlessness, you have doubts, you have anger, you have a defiled mind, you have a pain body, you are a lazy person, you have a mind which is not concentrated, then you must practice these 6 types of enthusiasm or energy. What are they? Chanda, vayama, ussaha, ussolha, appativani, sati, sampajanya. So I would say there are 7 actually, not 6. 7 specific things to do in terms of your effort. So effort has to be, fulfilled in different forms. So effort has different degrees actually. So chanda is a certain way of a different way of approaching fulfilling your effort. Vayama is another way of fulfilling it. But vayama is a very famous popular word. I mean, the classic word for the effort. Ussaha, ussolha, appativani means continued practice, continued effort. Sati means mindfulness. Sampajanya means full awareness. And then Buddha goes on to say, Sayatapi bhikkave aditta velova aditta sisova tasseva velasava sisasava nibbappanaya adimattan chandancha vayamancha ussahancha ussolhincha appativanincha satincha sampajanyancha kareya evameva ko bhikkave tena bhikkhuna tesang eva papakanam akusalanam dhammanam pahanaya adimatto chandocha vayamocha ussahocha ussolhicha appativanicha saticha sampajanyancha karaniya. How should one continuously execute this process of moving out of stagnation? This is how one has to do. Suppose your clothes or head were on fire in order to extinguish that fire, you would apply all these degrees of effort, right? Chanda, Vayama, Utsaha, Usola, Appativani, Sati, Sampajana. In the same way, in order to give up those bad, unskillful qualities, you should apply these 7 types of degrees of your effort. Chanda, Vayama, Utsaha, Usola, Appativani, Sati, Sampajana, Karaniya. Which means, in other words, we can say outstanding enthusiasm, effort, zeal, vigor, perseverance, mindfulness, and full awareness. Finally, but for those who don't think that they are stagnated, what they are supposed to do? So they think that they are growing in their skillful activities. What they are supposed to do? Sachepana bhikkave bhikkhu pacchavikkamano evaṁ janati. Anabijjalu bahulang viharami. Abhyapanna chitto bahulang viharami. Vigata tīna middo bahulang viharami. So this is the good side of all those 10, right? Tinna vichikiccho bahulang viharami. Akkodano bahulang viharami. Asankilitta chitto bahulang viharami. Asaradda kayo bahulang viharami. Aradda viriyo bahulang viharami. Samahito bahulang viharami. All the positive sides of those 10 ways of checking. That means if someone thinks that I am always spending time without covetousness, without ill will, without sloth and torpor, without doubts, without anger, without a defiled mind, without a pained body, without laziness, without lack of concentration, then what am I supposed to do? Tena bhikkave bhikkhuna tesu eva kusalesu dhammesu patittaya uttaring asavanang khayaya yogo karaniyo. Then what such people are supposed to do? They are supposed to ground. They have to more ground on those specific qualities, and they have to practice meditation. I would say, yoga means meditation, another word for meditation. Practice meditation further to end the defilement. So they have to continuously practice their meditation, whatever the meditation that they are doing, up to that extent. So now we talked about what is decline. So decline means someone whose good qualities, I would say spiritual, skillful qualities are neither improving nor stagnating. And we also talked about what is stagnation. So the people who are stagnated, whose qualities are not declining, neither declining, no improving. That means they are stagnated. They are the people who have those 10 aspects, 10 things in their life, who have what you call abhijja and all those 10. So they are stagnated. And we also talked about those who are growing in their skillful activities, those of them who don't have those 10 things. So more importantly, we talked about those who are stagnated, who have been stagnated, and how they can overcome that stagnation by practicing specifically the opposite side of those 10 with with different degrees of effort. We call them Chanda, Vayam, and all those 7. So you can read your text, the translation from the link. Now I wanted to add something which is interesting for all of you, because I coined a word called skillful creativity. So to me, skillful creativity is something that we have to find out different ways to fulfill, accomplish, or execute our kusalas. Now, one of the things that why we run out of energy to stay on to the kusala is that we don't know how differently we can do it. Let's say if you are practicing sila in a certain way, you may think that how I can take more precepts, how I can change the way I take, how I can practice these precepts more, how I can better practice my precepts. So you can sort of like be creative in fulfilling, in executing your skillful activity. So it is being creative in your skillfulness. Okay, so suggestions for that could be you can create a custom plan and stick with that. As I said, different ways to fulfill those good virtues. And you can recognize your failures. You can find out places where you did not fulfill, I would say, where you became sort of like not skilled in continuing that particular good practice. So you can sort of like look into those areas to be more creative in your skillful practice. That's why I'm using the word called skillful creativity. Another reason why people are running out of their energy in terms of fulfilling their spiritual path or Dhamma path or skillful activities is that they don't assess their energy, what you call vayama. Now Buddha says in many places that we have to understand virya or vayama plays a bigger role. Even you know a lot of Dhamma, but if you don't know how to stay consistent in your energy, you will dislike it. You will stop your Dhamma practice. Today you will listen to a Dhamma talk, but then you won't listen to a Dhamma talk for many other days. Today you will do a dana, but you will not do the dana again and again. So Buddha says we have to repeat the good things always in order to keep our interest. If you lose your interest, which is not a good thing, that's the second thing. So do an energy assessment so that you will not have ṭhiti, so that you will not run out of your energy. And another suggestion to stay consistent with your energy is that to find out wise friends. Be with wise friends, because wise friends influence you a lot, because they can help you stay on your path. If you are with people who are unwise, they will give a lot of bad energy, so that you are not happy about what you're doing, right? Wise friends. And having an open mind, because when you have an open mind, you will be more creative. You will be more creative to understand what is skillfulness, what is unskillfulness, right? What is kusala, what is akusala. So have an open mind, because open mind will help you to get out of any close-mindedness in terms of kusala. An example is that you think about something, a good virtue, in a certain way. Why don't you think that I could do this differently? I could always do good things differently. Why I always think that good things have to be done in this particular way? Maybe I can switch. I can change the way I do. Maybe I can change the perspective of doing it in a different way. Because the Buddha says it's always the mind, right? If you keep the good thoughts to your mind, then you are good. So the physical things don't matter that much. And seeing good things differently. I think a lot of people in society, they don't see good differently. They always try to see good in a certain way. This is the way that you all should do dana. This is the way you all should practice sila. This is the way you should do this and that. So that there will be a lot of confusion, a lot of conflicts. That's why I'm asking you to see good things, skillful things differently. People might not do the things the way you think. They might do different. But what if they have the good mind? What if they have the good intentions, right? So we have to accept, everybody in that context. Time management. That's a big thing, right? Time management. People don't plan their time, so that they run out of their energy. You have to plan for good things spiritually. You plan for everything, I guess, in your work life, family life. But if you don't plan for your spiritual life, you are in trouble. So you will definitely get frustrated, and you will definitely stagnate it, which is not good. And also being open to advices, instructions, from a spiritual person, from a good person. Because if we understand the value of listening to someone, it will really help us to grow well. Okay, friends, now today you learned a lot about stagnation, growth, and decline, especially stagnation and growth. So I encourage you to do those check-ins, those 10 types of check-ins. If you find that you have the negative side of those check-in, then you must practice those 7 different forms of effort, so that you are moving out of stagnation. If you already have those 10 on the good side of those 10, the positive side of those 10, then you need to continue your practice same way with meditation, so that you will not stagnate, but you will grow in your skillful activities. I think that's all for today. Thank you, and let's share all the good karmas with the departed individuals and the deities. May all the good karmas we've been doing so far be shared by all the departed relatives who passed away in the name of all of us. May they be happy and peaceful. May they attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Idam me ñāti nang hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. Idam me ñāti nang hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. Idam me ñāti nang hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. We have a customary, event at the end of every activity, meritorious activity, to share all the good karmas with the deities, say devas and nagas. May the devas and nagas share in all these merits, good karmas. May they be happy and peaceful. May they also attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ittavata cha ammehi sambatang punya sampadang. Sabbe deva anumodantu, sabbe bhuta anumodantu, sabbe satta anumodantu, sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasatta cha bhummatta deva naga mahittika. Punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu lokasasanang. Chirang rakhantu desanang, chirang rakhantu mang paranti. Akasatta cha bhummatta deva naga mahittika. Punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu lokasasanang. Chirang rakhantu desanang, chirang rakhantu mang paranti. Finally, let's make a great wish. May all the good karmas we've been accumulating in all these ways be helpful for all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I'm going to be blessing you with a couple more stanzas. Please receive the blessings. Abhivadana silis nichang vadha pachayino chattaru dhamma vadhanti. Ayuvanno sukhang balang ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevache. Ato nibbana sampatti iminati samicchatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Have a good night and have a good day. Take care.